What's up, Felt fans? Welcome into Around the Felt, our recap of all things Week 17 from this past weekend in the NFL. We're recording on a Monday night, and as it stands, we are 2.5 hours away from kickoff for the Falcons-Rams, in which Reagan and I's Big Dynasty League, the championship comes down to tonight. I have a 17-point lead with Bijan and Kyle Pitts. Reagan has Puka Kyren and Kyren Williams. So it should be really, really sweaty. I'm in one other championship. We got a 49-point lead with Pitts versus Puka and Drake London. So this is what you live for. When all those drafts, all those mocks in the summer. Tonight's the night. Reagan, how are you doing, my friend? Number one and number two.
I'm ready to win. I'm ready to hoist the belts. Let him hoist it. Hoist the belt, baby. I get to be two tongs this night. I get to spank them both. Call me Lance Tong because I'm gonna be spanking these Tong boys. Oh man, I'm excited to be hanging two banners over two tongs. But outside of that, good. It was a good week of football. I'm kind of happy that the way some of the matchups went. We have some very crucial Week 18 games. I didn't think we were going to get a Saturday slate next week, so that's nice that we get two sets of Saturday games as well. Now that the Bucks Panthers is winning get in, and I know the Niners Seahawks isn't winning get in, but it's winning get the 1 seed, so that's very crucial in that one. And then we get the Steelers Ravens at night, so all three standalone games have very big significance. So I'm happy about that for sure.
Yeah, what a wild weekend. Obviously, you highlighted it, Reagan. We got a lot of implications on the line in Week 18, and it's pretty wild that the Bucks lost to the Dolphins, but then the Panthers also lost, so they stayed alive. And then it was wild that the Ravens lost Saturday, and the Browns pulled off the upset over the Steelers to make that alive in Week 18. So both the Panthers and the Steelers could have clinched the division with the win, with both teams losing. Week 18 is a lot more fun.
No, it definitely is going to be a fun Week 18. That is no doubt behind that.
And for the Niners, that's a huge win for them over the Bears, which came down to the wire, sick game on Sunday Night Football. But the Super Bowl this year is in San Francisco. So if the Niners were to get that 1 seed, in theory, if they went all the way, they would never have to leave home. So that is huge for San Fran.
Yeah, it is massive. I mean, that's my preseason pick. I'm not as confident as I was then. When you lose Nick Bosa, you lose Fred Warner. We've seen this defense give up a lot of points week in and week out, but I would argue they have the hottest offense in the NFL right now. I don't even know if it's a debate. The way this offense has looked probably the past 5-6 games, they've been untouchable, putting up ridiculous video game type numbers. So the Niners look like it doesn't matter what kind of defense they have. You're not stopping them anyway. The last night, the Bears could barely stop them.
Hey, dude, it was wild. Brock Purdy, another 5 touchdowns. Too. He's legit. Without Kittle, Trent Williams also left early in the game too, and they still put on a dominant performance. So just an absolute insane game from Brock Purdy and that Niners team. All right, let's get into some news here, Reagan, shall we? Let's start with Maxx Crosby. Yeah. We know he sat out this past game, got shut down for the season, as did Brock Bowers, and the Raiders went full tank. Now, a lot of people are speculating on should that even be allowed to just shut guys down that have been playing? I mean, it is interesting. Crosby posted video of him shooting hoops on the knee and on the trampoline, so he seemed fine enough to play. But really, what the storyline is here is that he's rethinking his future with the team as we go into the offseason here. Crosby has been a leader in that locker room for many years now. He's a Raider through and through, but for a team that just can't seem to get the right pieces together to push for the playoffs, and a guy that's really competitive and wants to be out there to play for his team and play hard and does all the right things, he's pretty frustrated with this decision from Las Vegas. So, Reagan, two folds here.
Yeah.
Number one, do you think Maxx Crosby is a Raider in 2026? And number two, do you think the Raiders should trade him, given that he's obviously deeper into his career and they are probably going to have the first pick starting over with a quarterback? Does it make sense from a team building perspective to keep him?
No, I think he will be a Raider. I do think they'll keep him. Listen, they have a ton of cap space. They're going to be drafting a quarterback. You would imagine, they're going to keep Pete Carroll. They're not going to move on from him. So I'm thinking, I think this team could have a nice little revamp in the offseason with all that cap space and a new quarterback, bolster that offensive lineup a little bit more, maybe get another guy or two on defense. And, while they wouldn't be competing right away, I mean, they'd be a team that's like fringe playoffs. Like I trust Pete Carroll as a head coach. So I think you got to give him time to get his guys in there and kind of compete his vision, because it was going to be very hard to do that in 1 year. They had so many holes coming into this year, but they definitely got some guys on this roster to build around.
They do. They have some building blocks, but the offensive line is barren. The defensive line outside of Crosby, they've had a few big whiffs in Tyree Wilson and Christian Wilkins that didn't work out for him, investing premium money and draft capital. So they got a lot of things to figure out, but clearly they need some type of veteran presence and a leader in that locker room, and Crosby seems like the guy. I hope he stays in Vegas, because a part of me feels like if he gets available in the open market, Howie Roseman's going to call, because we know Howie was involved with Micah Parsons. He was calling the Browns about Myles Garrett. The Eagles want a premier pass rusher to really take him over the top. And I just think Maxx Crosby just seems like an Eagle kind of fit. So stay in the AFC, stay with the Raiders. That works for me.
Yeah, he would be good on the Eagles. I could get behind that. That'd be pretty nice for them.
I'm just following the tea leaves, man. They've been involved with Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons before Myles signed the extension and Parsons traded. So they're big fish hunting, and I don't think they'd be scared to pull the trigger on Maxx Crosby.
Yeah, no. Why would you? What would he mean? He's a stud.
Freak. Always top 5 in TFLs every single year in pressures. Stud. All right, let's move on here. Your boy, Trey McBride, single season tight end receptions record. Just had to shout him out, man. That's pretty cool to set a record like that. Did it in 16 games, so no 17th game involved here. Legitimately broke the record. And when you look at him compared to the rest of the tight ends this season, particularly in fantasy football, it ain't even close.
No, he's having an insane season. You think he'll get the All-Pro nod for certain. I'd be shocked if it was anyone else. I don't think the fans can vote for All-Pros, so you don't have to worry about the Swifties coming in and robbing him of an All-Pro nod. So Cardinals got themselves a stud in Trey McBride. You hope Marvin Harrison can come along. Michael Wilson's had a nice emergence, but they definitely got some weapons there. If they do end up drafting a quarterback next year, which I definitely think is in the cards right now, the way it looks. So whoever they bring in next, it's in the cards for the Cards. So whoever they bring in, they got a nice, they got a lot of nice assets to throw the football to. But Trey McBride, this is why I've said he is the number 1 fantasy tight end. You want to stash him in Dynasty. The amount of volume he gets is just unheard of. You don't see this at his position. So you're basically getting yourselves like he is. I think he'd be like a top 5 wide receiver right now, right? You would think on
he's
points
got
per
to
game.
be. He's like over 300 fantasy points. Like he's got to be.
That's what I'm saying. So I think you can make a case that he's a first-round pick next year in fantasy drafts. I mean, Gronkowski used to go in the first round, and he was more touchdowns and more a lot of yards, but he never was a big PPR guy in that sense where he was getting way over 100 catches. So I would think Trey McBride's got to be a top 12 pick next year, depending on who his quarterback ends up being.
It's a great point. He very well is in that conversation. I like what you brought up about Michael Wilson too, where earlier in the season you thought wide receiver is absolutely a need for Arizona outside of Marv, who didn't really prove himself his rookie year. But now Marv still didn't have a great sophomore campaign.
No.
It's too early to give up on him. Injury is obviously a factor. The heel took him out of the game early yesterday. But with Marv, Michael Wilson, and Trey McBride, that's a good trio for a rookie quarterback, in theory, if they're able to snag one. Which, it could be dicey because whoever ends up at number 2, for argument's sake, if the Giants lose to Dallas, they get number 2, that pick is still valuable because it's the Jets, the Cardinals, maybe the Browns trying to get Dante Moore at 2. So we'll see, because it's going to be a bidding war. They might have to go with a bridge, maybe run it back with Brissett for another year, given the state of this quarterback class, and wait for 27. All right. Last piece of news I got. It was a great weekend. Not a lot of big injuries. So, guys stayed relatively healthy. Nothing too extreme long term. But I want to talk about Myles Garrett. He is still 1 sack short, and there's a lot of hoopla in the media right now. Myles Garrett said himself, I feel like they were more concerned about keeping me away from getting the sack than they were about winning the game. And I don't think he's necessarily wrong. The Steelers scored 6 points. They struggled mightily, and they were just trying to make sure Myles Garrett did not get that sack to their detriment.
I mean, I understand that aspect. I don't think, record aside, of course you're going to be the biggest focus on your offensive game plan. They're going to do everything possible. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. He could have came into the game with 15 sacks. I don't think that changes anything on how they call their play calling.
Hey, I'm just telling you the quote from Myles Garrett, brother. Just telling you the quote from Myles.
Oh, fair. I thought you were saying you thought that.
I mean, it's a valid argument. They scored 6 points. Like, if they're focused on chipping and double teaming Garrett the whole time and they weren't able to get anything else going, like, maybe in the second half they should have switched it up. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think also a big thing too is no DK Metcalf. It was pretty obvious they were just at a loss for talent at the wide receiver position.
They are with Metcalf, so yeah,
that's true. With Metcalf, yeah, but without him, it's real bad.
It is bad.
Without him, it's the worst wide receiver core in football.
Yes, yeah, you can certainly make that argument. I mean, the Jets at least have AD Mitchell healthy right now.
Yeah, like I would even take Mechie over anyone they have right now. Like, Steelers have just the cast of like veterans that have been like recycled around the league.
Adam Thielen,
Scotty Miller. Like that was their starting three. They literally have 3 guys that have been on multiple rosters this year already. So that tells you how bad their wide receiver core is.
That is wild. So going into week 18, do you think Myles Garrett gets a sack and sets the record? And is there an asterisk 100%. With 17 games played?
No asterisk because TJ Watt, I believe, did it. Oh no, he did it in 16 in a 17-game season.
He missed
a game. But no, there's not. Definitely not. And yeah, I think he does it. I think he gets multiple. So I would just with the Bengals offensive line, I think he gets multiple. I doubt the Bengals are gonna be like, oh yeah. Like let's just make sure he doesn't get it. Run the ball every single time. That'd be pretty funny for the division rival if the Bengals just went out and ran the ball every single play.
Like, we don't care if we lose. Just this guy's not getting a sack on our turf. It's not happening.
Hey, there you go.
All right, that's all the news. It's all the news. What's in the mailbag?
Yeah, so let's go to Caleb. Nice seeing him. I got to see him last night with baby Nico, father of 1. He wants to know, what do the Cardinals need to fix to become a competent football team?
Yeah. Wow, what a great question. Just talking about the Cardinals. I mean, we just mentioned all the weapons that they have on offense. They're still good with Paris Johnson at 1 tackle spot. They clearly need to address the offensive line more, in my opinion, including right tackle. That's a need. The big thing, though, is a quarterback in place, because Brissett, as good as he's been for fantasy and even in real football, putting points on the board, he's not a long-term solution for you. So quarterback, huge need. They've addressed the defense in many ways, adding to that secondary with Will Johnson, Max Melton they drafted early just 2 years ago. They've added guys in the defensive line and Josh Sweat, Walter Nolan, who unfortunately got hurt. He missed a lot of this year. They had a vet in Calais Campbell who's probably gone. So Darius Robinson, they took out of Missouri in the first round a couple years back. So they have young pieces and a lot of premium positions. It's just the quarterback and ultimately this defense just still seems to have too many holes. And for a defensive coach like Gannon, you have to wonder how long is his leash.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know. Like that's what I was going to say, is that there's a chance they move on from him this year. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they fire him. I mean, he hasn't, what is this, year 3 now, and he hasn't even made the playoffs at all. I mean, similar to Shane Steichen, where Shane Steichen, we said coming into the year as well, was on the hot seat. They both, the Philly coordinators that got hired after the year they lost in the Super Bowl. So they both have been head coaches for their teams for 3 years now. Neither has really had any success. Steichen a little bit more, been closer. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if either of those Eagles coordinators are gone. And then, maybe they'll make their way back over to Philly. But if I'm a Cardinals fan, I probably am done with Gannon. I probably want a whole new regime coming in. If you're done with Kyler, I mean, why would you want to bring in a rookie quarterback with Gannon? He's shown nothing to make me think like, hey, this guy can develop a quarterback. I mean, if anything, Kyler just got worse during his tenure with Gannon.
Yeah, in theory, let's say that they move up to 2 and they get Dante Moore. They end up at 2. It seems similar to like a Eberflus in Chicago situation where it's a defensive coach that does not put anything out there in terms of wins and losses that you're proud of. And now it's another year. And then what if they win 3 or 4 games next year with a rookie quarterback? You're going to fire Gannon. And then it's that cycle we always talk about, right? So maybe it depends. Maybe they hold on to Gannon. I don't know. I think it's going to be hard to justify that given how the team has performed. Sure. And even with Brissett in there and putting up some big performances offensively, very rarely could Arizona hold on to the lead and win games when they need to and make those plays down the stretch, which does somewhat fall on coaching.
Oh, 100%, dude. 100%. So I think they should move on. They got to get some more guys on the defense and the offensive line and figure out the quarterback. But I do think they could roll with Brissett as well. I'm cool with them doing that another year if they want to roll with Brissett and, look elsewhere in the draft. So I have no issue with that. And his final question is, was the Bears 49ers the game of the year?
Man, it's up there, dude. The Bears are in a lot of these conversations the way they've been playing ball. That offense is certainly championship caliber, led by Caleb Williams. The defense makes it a lot of fun, too, because they still have their issues on that side of the ball. I mean, is it game of the year, man? It's definitely up there for me.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions-Ravens early on was a good one, I remember. Cowboys-Packers was really good, that 40-40 tie. What else was there?
You can't go with the tie as game of the year, though. No one wants to see a game.
I mean, I'm just saying 40-40 was pretty freaking good.
It is crazy, but
we've had some really good games, but that's definitely guaranteed top 3. But I think you could definitely say that was game of the year. That was awesome at everything.
There were also 2 11-4 teams at right.
Yeah.
So just the stakes of it, for playoff seeding, where they were, at this point of the season, their records, I think you got to go with it, right? And it came down to the last play.
Yeah. No, I definitely, Or you could even say the Packers-Bears the week prior.
Yeah, we were talking about that as game of the year.
You know what I mean? So that was that one's definitely up there as well. But yeah, we'll see if next week can beat them. But that had everything last night. But even the Rams-Seahawks was pretty good too, a couple weeks ago, that 38-37. So I'm not going to sit here and say, with the recency bias, say for sure it's game of the year, but I definitely think it was top 5, top 3 game this year. So, common theme with the Bears, like you said, they're in high stake games that, leave you wanting more. But that's all we got for the questions. A little light, but always a little lighter with the recaps.
Nice. It's okay. We appreciate you guys anyways. All right, let's run through these ball games, shall we? How'd we do on the picks this week, Reagan? Did we
I can pull them up real quick. You didn't do so hot. I did okay. I was 8-7 against the spread, 9-6 on the money line. You were 5-10 on the spread and 8-7 on the money line. So both winning records on the money line. You on the spread. Oof. My season record is now 138, 111, and 4. On the money line, it's 159, 94, and 1. You are 119, 131, and 4, and then 155, 98, and 1. So you have kind of going belt to ass on you. I'm up 19 now in the spread. Only 4 on the money line, so you still have plenty of time to catch me. But
you officially clinch it. I can't just fade you next week and have a chance. You officially clinch the title for the spread this year. Congrats. Still 2-1. So, but I'm not going to lie. 138 and 111 is awfully impressive, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, let's start on the Christmas Day games. Not the best slate, let's be honest, but it was still pretty fun. The Dallas Cowboys took care of the Commanders 30-23 in this one. They're now 7-8-1. Commanders 4-12. Both teams obviously eliminated from the playoffs. Prescott played very well in this matchup. 307 yards, 2 touchdowns with no INTs. He was sacked 6 times, though, which is kind of crazy given the state of both of these offensive and defensive lines for their respective teams. Turpin had the 86-yard bomb. George Pickens came to life a little bit, but really, Javonte Williams was cooking early with a touchdown. Then Malik Davis took over with over 100 yards rushing. This Commanders' run defense could not hold up. And then Josh Johnson couldn't do quite enough to get a win for the Commanders. He did take care of the football, was pretty accurate in terms of completion percentage. Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt, Big Bill, scores again 3 weeks in a row with a touchdown, 11 for 105 and 2 touchdowns. So big performance from him and Deebo Samuel. But ultimately, it was really just about fantasy football in this one. Your thoughts on this game, Reagan? Is there anything you're keeping an eye out heading into 26 for these two teams since their seasons are over? Is Bill potentially the guy for the Commanders in 26, or do you think they're still going to look at a running back?
I just think the capital tells me that there's always the world where they bring somebody else in. His stock has definitely gone up for Dynasty the past couple weeks, so hopefully you didn't sell low on him. I feel like now you could kind of sell high. I actually probably would sell high on him. Long term, I don't think he's going to have a lot of success, or they'll bring somebody else in, a bigger back, to kind of do more of a timeshare. But he has looked good. For Dallas, it kind of sucks to see guys like Pickens and CeeDee Lamb put up such duds in the championship and a really positive game script. So, I guess that's more credit to Dan Quinn and that Washington defense, where they made a conscious effort to say, hey, you can beat us, on the ground, but Dak's not going to beat us with his arm. Outside of that one Turpin bomb, there really wasn't a whole lot to write home about with this Cowboys passing attack.
Yeah, Dak had the 2 underthrows to CD as well, which both could have been touchdowns. So I know that hurt me in fantasy going against you with CD Lamb, and you have Dak, so it wouldn't have necessarily been daggers for you, but it would have helped me out. I would have appreciated it. But Dak knew the fantasy matchup was coming down to it, so he tried to screw me by underthrowing CD. I get it. It's fine. It's fine. It won't matter, hopefully. All right, let's move on here. The next game on the slate, the Lions lose to the Vikings 23-10, which did end their playoff aspirations on Christmas Day, so they didn't even have to look forward to the game this weekend. It was over. They were done. And it's just crazy how this happened, Reagan. 23-10 loss. Number one, Brian Flores, the DC for the Vikings.
Somebody's going to win the job.
Absolutely should be considered for head coaching jobs because this Vikings defense is sick. And the way that he can scheme up those different blitzes and gets his rushers free is pretty remarkable. And when you look at what he's done against this Lions offense, both games, like Jahmyr Gibbs, the 2 worst games of his season were both against Minnesota. So it just shows you the kind of impact that a Flores defense can have. I'm sure the lawsuits from a couple years ago are certainly going to play a factor in whether he gets an opportunity or not, unfortunately, but just how it is. Gibbs, a 17 for 41, Montgomery 10 for 25 after he cried about not getting the ball more. I mean, they both kind of sucked in this game, let's be honest. Tesla scored the tutty for the Lions. That was about it. Amon-Ra 8 for 68 is fine. J-Mo put up a dud. So the Lions, for a team with so many relevant fantasy players, really kind of screwed everyone in their championship. And for the Vikings, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what a sad way to go out if you're the Lions. Like, what a sad way. I mean, all those turnovers. Goff looked terrible in this one.
2 picks from Goff. I mean, yeah.
You know, and I think
fumble. Goff lost 3 fumbles.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, he had 5 turnovers total. I mean, it was just, the Vikings defense was all wired up, looked great. But the Lions, I mean, what a wasted season, really. I mean, this is a team that should have been in the playoffs. I also think because they lost this, that's why Jordan Love sat for Green Bay. I think he would have played. Just to make note of that when we get into that game. But if I'm a Lions fan, I'm pissed. And no, I'm not saying you should fire Dan Campbell. All those people out there being like, oh, should the Lions move on from Dan Campbell? I think it's pretty evident the offense isn't as dynamic as they were with Ben Johnson. Still very explosive, top 5 unit for sure. But that's pretty evident that they're not what they were. And the defense is kind of the same. I just think the offense couldn't protect them as much. And even in this game, the defense played great. Like, you can't blame the defense in this one. I mean, Maxx Crosby obviously isn't going to light the world on fire. And speaking of the quarterback play, like, I genuinely think the Vikings would have been a playoff team this year if they had more of a competent and consistent quarterback play. Because, the fact that they had to play Maxx Crosby twice, Carson Wentz multiple times, and J.J. McCarthy, like, has been up and down. But I think a full season of J.J. McCarthy, with how he's come on of recent, I think they're a playoff team for sure.
You can certainly argue with that defense. They're sitting at 8-8, so they would have had a fighter's chance. Brosmer just doesn't even belong in the league. Only had 51 yards here. Got sacked 7 times. Didn't matter.
Yeah,
Jordan Addison. Dude, I fucking benched Addison for Jaden Reed in a championship at wide receiver 2, and I was like, I mean, we had injuries left and right. It was just, all right, who's going to get – who am I putting in there? I benched Addison. I can't even be mad at it. The guy didn't have a fucking catch. He just got 1 carry on an end around and cribbed it from 65 yards. So, yeah, in theory, I should have started Addison over Reed, but the guy didn't have a catch, So it's just crazy how it works out.
Yeah, no, it is when you think of that. It's like he actually did nothing outside of 1 play and he got like 13 fantasy points this week. But Vikings have a lot to be confident about going next year. They're definitely at the top of the list for teams to go first to worst next year because we see every year there's a team. Well, I guess technically they're not.
Worst to first.
Yeah, but also I'm saying technically, I guess there's still a world where the Lions end dead last in the division now that they both have 8 wins.
If Minnesota wins, Detroit loses, yeah.
So that's still in the cards as well, that aspect. I mean, I guess the Bears did it last year. Because it's every year there's one team that does it. So the Bears were the case of that this year, I think. And so were the Patriots. Actually, there were multiple Patriots, Bears.
Yeah, there's always one, and you're like looking at it before the season, like who the fuck's it going to be? I don't think any of these teams can do that. And then, it always happens.
Well, it happened twice this year.
Well, maybe next year.
No, twice.
Maybe next year this team can go worst to first in the Kansas City Chiefs, who lost 20-13 to the Broncos, who improved to 13.
No, they definitely can't.
And 3. So
there's no world that happens with the Raiders.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about the Raiders.
I was gonna say, I was like, unless the Raiders somehow, I guess
literally with the first pick.
I guess wishful thinking in your mind that the Raiders can somehow, get
one division you got
spot.
8-8 in last place. The other division you got 2-14. So the Broncos here, man. Look, RJ Harvey scored. Bo Nix scored. RJ Harvey, league winner, not from like pure rushing production, but from the touchdowns over the last month. Like what a guy that was kind of letting you out to dry the first half of the season, and really once Dobbins got hurt, just had no choice to take over that backfield, and he did it. He did it.
Well,
he touchdown machine, and I'm sure there's a lot of teams that have RJ Harvey in their finals, including me.
And with RJ Harvey too, this is why on the Dynasty pod I was so high on him, and because I was like, the opportunity's there. Like, this guy's a good back. The capital's there. So I hope you did listen. Like, obviously, at the time we didn't know about J.K. Dobbins and the way it was going with J.K. Dobbins. Like, yeah, it wasn't very inspiring, but this is why you got to think talent and opportunity when they line up like that. Those are guys you want to target. So it was pretty clear that he did, they did have a big plan for him. It took a while, but happy that he's here. And like you said, he's a fantasy championship winner. And for dynasty leagues, like, you should be enjoying a couple good years of solid play with him because he's a legit player. Even if they do bring in another back next year as a complimentary piece, which I think is definitely in the cards, the receiving skill set at least is there as well. So he'll never be dudded, I guess, because of that. Or matchup. He's matchup proof, essentially.
He'll always be that guy that's more perimeter threats, run, like more outside zone plays. In the receiving game, they might bring a guy in between the tackles because clearly that's not Harvey's game. He doesn't have the highest yards per carry between the tackles. But even if that happens, he's still going to be fantasy relevant for you as a flex in the future. For the Chiefs here, Chris Oludekon, 66 yards and a touchdown. Just a tough matchup here. Brashard Smith was the benefactor of that touchdown, but let's be honest, this Chiefs team was just going out there, just fucking around, having fun on Christmas. They really have nothing to play for. Third-string quarterback. Big question is, though, was that Travis Kelce's last game at Arrowhead?
I don't think so. I think he'll be back next year. I feel like now they have to run it back one more time.
Yes, I agree, because it's like, why after such a historic career where they went to 3 straight Super Bowls, like, why are you going to let it end on a season in which, you have a shitty record, not even in the playoffs, and Mahomes tears his ACL? I think he comes back for one more, but then again, he's got his wedding coming up in the summer, and maybe they want to have a family, and that could deter things, and his fiance has quite a bit of influence, I could imagine. So maybe he does call it quits. But if I had to guess right now, gun to my head, I'd say Travis Kelce returns for one more year in 2026.
Yeah, no, that'll definitely be interesting. What ends up happening with that, and with the Broncos, real quick, I'll say this team loves playing to their competition. It doesn't matter if it's a good team, a bad team, an okay team. All their games are close. And I guess that's just the story of the Denver Broncos. Like, that doesn't make me not confident in them. Like, I think any team they match up with in the AFC championship, like AFC playoff picture, assuming they hold on to that first round bye, which I think they will. They just announced Harbaugh just came out and said Herbert's not going to be playing this weekend, which makes sense for the Chargers. They have nothing to play for. So the Broncos they really do control their own destiny. They should get that first round bye. And then it's like, all right, can you win 2 in Denver? I think they definitely can. It's always an advantage to be playing there. And I think no matter what, they're going to play to it. But it just makes you worried a little bit because you see them go, toe-to-toe with the Jets, toe-to-toe with the Giants, toe-to-toe with this version of the Chiefs, toe-to-toe with the Raiders, where it's like, this is the 1 seed that's beating really bad teams by like a field goal. So I would like to see more out of the defense, more out of the offense, or just more so a complete game where both sides of the ball show up, because it seems like you never get both of the Broncos. And that's kind of how I felt in this one. Like, the defense definitely showed up. It's just the offense really didn't look great. They were moving the ball downfield, but, it definitely wasn't a game where you're super inspired by the offensive play.
No, you're not. And that's the thing is, like, on one hand, they clearly know how to win close games. They're coached up well. In those moments, they make the big plays. On the other hand, we see year over year, time and time again, it's very difficult to replicate performance in 1-score games like that. Like, just think of the Chiefs as the prime example, where this year they kept losing those 1-score games, where last year they went like 10-1 in 1-score games or something like that. So it can really become pretty volatile. And the question becomes, in the playoffs, if they do get the 1 seed and they only got to play 3 times to win a Super Bowl, If they're in one score games repeatedly in the postseason, does one team get them, right? Does one team make that play, and that's the end of the season? Because they do play with fire week in and week out.
Oh, they 100% do. So it will be interesting. I can't wait for the playoffs in a week and a half, or I guess 2 weeks at this point. I just can't wait for it to start up.
I can't believe it's already We're talking playoffs, man.
Whew. It is crazy.
Speaking of playoffs, we had a big game for playoff implications on Saturday. The Texans take care of the Chargers, and of course, the Chargers losing and Denver winning. Denver takes care of the AFC West, and now the Chargers don't need to play Justin Herbert against Denver this weekend. And look, Herbert certainly played better than his past performance against Houston in the playoffs last year. We had 4 interceptions. He only had 1 pick in this one. He did get sacked 5 times. That offensive line for LA really showing their cracks. And Houston with that pass rush of Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, who really dominated this game. It's just not necessarily the best matchup for the Chargers. But Herbert did have 37 yards rushing.
They must really not care who they play, because I would think getting to go to Pittsburgh or Baltimore is a much more favorable matchup at that 5 spot. The fact that they're just giving up on the 5 and just okay with playing in the 6-7 game.
6-7. Now, is the fact that Texans beat them is head-to-head in play there, where if
they have the same record, so if the Texans lost and the Chargers won, they'd go ahead of them.
But who does Houston have is my question.
Houston has the Colts and the Bills have the Jets, so maybe that's them saying hey, these teams are going to win. We're fine with taking
probably
the 7th
right.
And maybe they like the New England matchup. Maybe they're hey, we want to go play New England the first matchup.
That is interesting, because you got to think with Riley Leonard for the Colts, Houston probably wins that game, and Buffalo probably beats the Jets, unless Josh Allen sits. So maybe. But yeah, they probably just look, I don't give a fuck who we play. What's more important is Herbert being healthy. Let's give that hand a rest for a week, because God forbid someone steps on his hand and then you have a major problem going into the postseason.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
For Houston in this one, the defense showed up, allowing only 2 touchdowns. Stroud, 244, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He found the rookies Higgins and Noel from Iowa State, both with a touchdown apiece, and then a couple field goals from Kymie Fairbairn. Got the job done. Now, if Houston and LA somehow, some way meet up in the playoffs, are you just going to the matchup like Houston owns LA? Because every time Herbert plays his defense, it seems like the Texans get the better of them.
No, because honestly, the Chargers almost won this game. It seemed like Houston got off to that big lead, pretty much within the first 5 minutes of the game. They were up 14-0, and then they kind of did nothing offensively for the other 55 minutes. So I didn't feel and the Chargers were still moving the ball. I think they match up pretty evenly. I would have liked to see more to Houston's offense, the majority of the game. It seemed like they got those 2 big chunk plays for the touchdowns, and then we're kind of content with taking their foot off the gas. But that game was a lot closer than it really needed to be. This defense is legit, though. It doesn't matter. I would be more curious if Alt and Slater were playing, how that would look. But hey, can't knock them. If they play the games, you got to play who you got to play, and everybody's dealing with injuries. But I would like to see stylistically, how that matchup would look with those guys healthy against that Houston edge rushers.
Yeah, that would be fun. All right, in the nightcap, the Baltimore Ravens and Derrick Henry keep their postseason hopes alive, 41-24 over the Packers. Baltimore now 8-8. Green Bay 9-6-1. A bit of a skid here for Green Bay over the past month or so. Not ideal. Now, there's multiple things I want to talk about in this game. We'll start with Baltimore. Snoop Huntley is just the second-string quarterback to Lamar Jackson in this system. He just looks different in this system compared to the other stops that he's made in Cleveland, Miami, whatever you got to say. 16-20, only 107 passing yards and a touchdown, which the 107 doesn't look pretty on paper, but he was only sacked 1 time from this Packers front, and the completion percentage was there for a team that we know does not have the best cast of supporting weapons at the receiver and tight end position right now. Zay Flowers caught that touchdown, but the leading receiver 4 with 30 yards, because it was Derrick freaking Henry time, man. In end of December, this is where he comes to life. 36 carries for 216 yards and 4 touchdowns. Holy shit. What a performance from this guy. Unbelievable. And I tell you what, even if Lamar Jackson does not play against the Steelers, that is your recipe. With no Lamar Jackson, give the ball to Derrick Henry 30 times and let the chips fall where they may. Because at this time of the year, no one wants to tackle this man. And holy shit, that was just an insane performance. Vintage first ballot Hall of Famer Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I mean, he won them this game. Huntley obviously looked good as well, made some big throws. I do think, like I already talked about it, like Jordan Love probably plays in this game if Detroit wins. But with the fact that they already had locked up the 7th seed essentially at this point and no reason to risk it. Like I think Love probably doesn't play this week either. Like they're locked into the 7th seed. There's no reason for them to play anybody next week for the Packers. But, I hope Lamar plays, but at least you feel like you're in good hands. And how about Malik Willis, man? I mean, the performance he put up, you got to think with him being a free agent next year, somebody is going to give him not a starting contract, but somebody's going to toss a decent contract at him for a multi-year deal to bring him in and compete to be their starter next year.
100%. 18 to 21 for 288 yards and a touchdown. Only sacked one time. Also 9 carries for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And it's not even just the stats. It's watching him move around the pocket and his arm angles. Like he's throwing sidearm and flicking his wrist, and they're ropes, dude, like 15 to 25 yards downfield. And it's like, that is why he was drafted where he was out of Liberty, is because of his mobility and that arm talent, even though he was really raw. Tennessee might just be the place.
Good.
Yeah, it might be the place where quarterbacks go to die.
Well, he did drop in the draft, though. Like he was a first-round talent that ended up going in the 3rd, 4th round. I think he was a 3rd-round pick.
I thought he was a 2nd-round pick.
No, I remember him sliding like
crazy.
You're
right. He slid to the 3rd. But he was getting talks of a 1st-round pick like that.
Yeah, he was, and it was like shocking. And then the next year later, they drafted Will Levis in the same situation.
Yeah,
but he never really got a fair shot in Tennessee because
exactly
Tannehill
what
was
he
there.
said. It's exactly what he said. He's like, I never really got a true opportunity there, is what he said. So now a guy that's still relatively young, and as you mentioned, Reagan, he's a free agent, and the fact that people are like, oh, does Green Bay have a decision on their hands between Jordan Love and Malik Willis? Because the way he led this offense was really impressive. Like, and every time he steps in, it seems like there's not too big of a fall off. I think that's ridiculous. Jordan Love's your guy. He's definitely better than Malik Willis. That's ridiculous. But the fact that's even being talked about shows you that, hey, for the teams that miss out on Fernando Mendoza, which looks to be to the Raiders, unless they beat the Chiefs in Alua Khan next week, and then, who knows what happens. Then maybe the Giants get number 1 and everyone's alive for a quarterback. And then you're
trading Jackson Dart and then drafting Mendoza.
No, that's not happening. But even for any of those teams that miss out on Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, like a Jets or a Browns,
I would be okay with it. See, I would love that to bring in. I would want to give 2 guys like that a contract, like a Malik Willis, Mac Jones, a Malik Willis, Geno Smith. Bring in 2 guys that have shown some flashes, had some success, and then build up elsewhere, because I don't really want the Jets to give up capital. Like, I think we're a whiles away. The only thing is it's probably hard to sell the fan base on Malik Willis, which isn't fair to him because he's a lot different than Justin Fields just because they're both mobile guys. But I feel like a lot of people will think it's that same situation. But it's pretty clear, like, Willis's arm is way, way better than Justin Fields. The mobility is the same, but it's pretty evident there. But I think a lot of people would not be happy about that because of the comparisons they'd be saying to Justin Fields. But I would be okay with it.
I know. That's why I think it almost makes more sense for, like, Arizona than it would the Jets. The Jets just did a 1-year rental with Justin Fields, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it was a 2-year deal for Fields, and that's what sold him on going to the Jets. But now, you're on the hook for 26.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, for the Packers, Christian Watson continues his dominance, 5 for 113 and a touchdown with Malik Willis. And I think it's pretty clear that Christian Watson, over the back half of the season, returning from the torn ACL, has established himself as the clear number 1 wide receiver on this Packers team. I still think Tucker Kraft's the number 1 target when healthy.
Yeah. No, he definitely is. And one more thing. I mean, RIP to anyone who had Josh Jacobs in their fantasy playoffs.
Oh, 4 carries.
I mean, it's pretty clear he's not fully healthy yet, but that would be nice to know as fantasy owners prior to that. So that's unfortunate if you fired him up in a 3rd place game or a championship matchup. He probably costed you your matchup.
Oh, absolutely.
Hard to win when you're getting that production.
Tough, man. Just bad, sad looks, man. Josh Jacobs, great all year. Draft him early, and when you need him most, he just lays an egg. He's just hurt. He's hurt. Re-aggravating that knee. Really, really crushed it.
Yeah, he's definitely out this week.
100%. All right, let's move on to the Tank Bowl. The Giants destroy the Raiders 34-10.
Whoa.
Not going to lie.
What? Why are you going to the 4 o'clock games? We're just skipping all the 1 o'clock games?
Oh, I'm sorry. I
was like, wait a second. I was like,
no, I'm sorry. It goes to the top of of the list because of they're my favorite team. So that's why.
No, you're good. I figured that's what happened. And I was like, wait a second. We still have all of Sunday.
I was like, wait, I forgot they played at 4. Yeah, we'll go to the Tank Bowl later. So we'll start with Bengals Cardinals 37-14 win for Cincinnati. Both teams eliminated. So really, this is just about fantasy football. We've already touched on Trey McBride setting the record, scoring a touchdown here, even though it wasn't garbage time. Still pretty sick for fantasy holders. The run game, of course, non-existent for Arizona, but Michael Wilson did score 5 for 89 in the absence of Marv, who left early in this game with re-aggravation of the heel after only 1 target. Frustrating. For the Bengals, I mean, if you had Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, Joe Burrow, it was a good championship performance. Now, I know I had Burrow and Chase, and Reagan had Chase Brown. So we both feasted in this game in our matchups. Chase Brown going for 2 tutties, 100 rushing yards. Jamar Chase, after 2 months without scoring a touchdown, which just seems crazy, scores twice in this one, 7 for 60. And Joe Burrow, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pretty good performance from both the offense and the defense for the Bengals, which we haven't said much this year.
Yeah. What I'll say real quick, Michael Wilson, next week, just foreshadowing. He's at 73 for 907 this year. So I would take him 100 yards receiving next week in your lays. Just the fact that they're not a whole lot to play for, and the guys kind of stepped up big. I'm sure the Cardinals are going to go out of their way to feed him in a meaningless game. Not a whole lot to really say here. I mean, the Bengals, it's nice to see that what this offense can be, when healthy. One thing I'll say about Chase Brown is too, like for next year, throw out what you saw with him early. It's like, as long as Joe Burrow's playing, like this guy's going to cook.
Yeah. Joe Burrow healthy, and he's right back to being an RB1, RB2 every week.
And I mean, I guess he has cooked a lot of years. Like the rushing yards haven't been there. He has had a lot of 100 all-purpose yard games. He's like a discounted, like a very discount Christian McCaffrey with his usage and, the way where he'll get you like 100 scrimmage yards pretty much every game. So he's a guy that's definitely, I feel like, going to be overlooked next year going into fantasy drafts, and he may slide to the 3rd, 4th round and get incredible value. Like I would try to target him in your fantasy leagues in the offseason. He's not a flashy name. He's 25, but, with the volume and stuff and the production he has with Burrow, he's a very good player. That's all I'll say, really. Outside of that, but it'll be interesting. I mean, the Bengals, really both these teams have some interesting questions. I know we got more into details with the Cardinals earlier, but I could see both of these teams, and I really think both of them should move on from their head coaches.
I agree. Both, especially Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can. Done with them. Yeah, I just don't know how you can warrant that.
And it's like, you know what, man? We look around the league, and it's like, what do we just see? Even though the Packers lost, but Malik Willis stepping in. Right, or like Tyler Huntley stepping in for the Ravens, or like all like the Bengals seem like if Joe Burrow's not in, they're like the worst team in football. Where it's like every other team
a couple of years ago, Jake Browning didn't look bad. Like he had people saying like, should this guy be a starter for somebody else when Brian Callahan was their OC?
Okay, fair, but look what happened this year.
No, I know. I mean, he definitely, that may be more of a Brian Callahan thing, which shows you, that should show you something too, because he was the one that got the job, and, they haven't been the same since he kind of left as their play caller.
There we
go.
So
it might be more of a Brian Callahan thing as his play caller, although he didn't have a lot of success in Tennessee, but, and I know it's easy to be a good play caller when you got Joe Burrow, but I think Zach Taylor's got to go. And I think Joe Burrow will 100% be on the team next year. Like, I don't care about all those rumors and stuff. Oh, he's not happy. He wants to be traded. Like, there's no way he's getting traded.
No way. He signed a massive extension. He's got his boys, Chase and Higgins there. Like, he fought tooth and nail for them. So they need new leadership. I would even hate like a defensive minded coach to toughen him up on that side, like a Shula from the Rams, because the offense is going to be okay with Burrow at the helm.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, let's Advance here to Steelers-Browns, legendary time, Shador, all the Ravens players, even DeAndre Hopkins, they're putting Shador Sanders on the story, little friendly banter on the socials. And you look at it and it was a 13-6 win. Like, I don't think Shador should be getting the credit, but hey, it's funny and I'm for it because Shador in this one, 186, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. The one was just really, really freaking bad, floating it up, and the defender got the pick. So Shador Sanders has thrown multiple interceptions in many games over the past month and a half. It is somewhat of a concern, the interceptions, and I think the turnovers could lead the Browns to potentially try to move up and get a Dante Moore in the draft if the opportunity presented itself, and it's not too many picks they have to give up, but they also have the Jags pick. They have 2 firsts. They do have ammo, and Shador, despite the Browns winning some of these games in which he started, including this one, and making some big-time plays, the turnovers are a concern, right? And it was nothing different in this game. Harold Fannin scored the touchdown. I think he got hurt on the touchdown, so that was unfortunate. Judy, 554, the leading receiver in the run game. Like, it's been recently non-existent with no Quinshon Judkins. Sampson, 11 for 27. But, hey, it was enough to get the win with that defense because Aaron Rodgers was not very good in this one. Didn't have any INTs or fumbles lost, but only threw for 168. And Jaylen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, somewhat slowed up here and really cooled them off from some hot streaks. But for the Steelers, you got to think this is a disappointing loss. Fire Mike Tomlin chance. We're going in. Fire Mike Tomlin chance in Cleveland was kind of crazy when, hey, they still got a chance to win the division next week, and they've already clinched a winning season yet again. Seems like we have this conversation every year, Reagan. If the Steelers lose to the Ravens, is Mike Tomlin gone?
No, he's not. I don't think he'll be here next year. They'll probably run it back another year with Rodgers, to be honest. I know Rodgers has talked about retiring, but I feel like they're going to run it back with him regardless of what happens, whether it's a first-round exit in the playoffs or even a second-round exit in the playoffs, or they miss the playoffs. I feel like Rodgers is back for another year. You could tell he's still got that fire. I mean, he's looked good outside of this game. He's looked pretty good recently. If they can get another weapon there to go with DK next year, like, I don't know, Rodgers definitely looks like he still belongs in the league and has a lot of juice in the tank, to me.
He could definitely still play. It's as you want to. He definitely can still play.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's having a pretty good year when you think about it. 23 touchdowns to 7 picks. As a 42-year-old, it's not bad. What I'll say about Shador is I don't think he's the long-term answer. I mean, he's definitely better than Dylan Gabriel. I could tell you that much. That's pretty clear. But it's hard to think. Although, like, the Browns might not be in a spot to draft a quarterback. So if they don't, I wouldn't give up assets to get a quarterback. I think you wait another year. If you're in a spot to take a quarterback, sure, do it. But if you're not, I think you roll with Shador one more year. I mean, if Deshaun Watson's going to be on contract, like, maybe you give him one more shot. Don't think that's worth it, but I don't know. It just sucks because you almost feel like they're wasting, a really good defense as his prime.
Yes.
With all the guys they have there. And understandably so, when you got so much money tied up to Deshaun Watson. But the whole reason when you went and got Deshaun Watson was because you had this elite defense where you're like, hey, we're a quarterback away. So really it all comes back to the fact that Deshaun Watson didn't work out for this team's faults.
The worst contract in NFL history. My blog from 2 years ago still holds true.
Yeah, definitely does.
It is crazy. And you're right, Reagan. The Browns are a little bit different than, say, Arizona in the sense that they have Watson and Shador and Dylan Gabriel, 3 quarterbacks under contract for 2026, and 2 of them they just drafted, although not high, but they drafted them. So they do have cheap options and guys that could still show something. So maybe it makes sense for the Browns to hold on that extra first-round pick this year and, go get a wide receiver, go get another maybe hey, they're in prime position to get like an Arvell Reese to pair with Myles Garrett, and they pass an Abdul Carter this year. Ended up moving back.
That.
So maybe
imagine that D-line. Oh my gosh.
Arvell Reese, Myles Garrett, Mason Graham. That seems like a smart play from the Browns.
Yeah.
All right. Another game that matters only for draft implications, but the Saints beat the Titans 34-26. Tyler Shuck is now your favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year after going off for 333 yards and 2 touchdowns in this one. Audric Estime led the backfield, 94 to touchdown. I mean, he really, no one else got many carries, which is kind of crazy because Estime's been written off. Olave 8 for 119, a touchdown, and he put out on socials after the game, Shuck for Rookie of the Year. And I'm sure Chris Olave is going to be beating the drum for that because since Tyler Shuck took off, Chris Olave's game logs have been nuts.
Yeah, I'm sure Dynasty holders of Chris Olave. I mean, that and the fact that he's staying healthy, because that's always been a big knock on Chris Olave is the concussions and the fact that he couldn't stay healthy. But it's good to see that he's finally got a competent quarterback. I hope you listened to me when he was 25-1 2 weeks ago. Now he's plus 105. Tet is minus 110. So both guys, seem to be there. And I do want to highlight real quick the other rookie quarterback. I don't think people have realized how good Cam Ward has been, this second half of the year. Like even the last 4 games, the team is 2-2. But the numbers are there. I mean, he's got 8 passing touchdowns to 1 interception, multi-touchdown games in all 4 games with, 2 touchdowns. The yards have been there. He just looks a lot better. You can see him in the pocket. He's getting more and more comfortable. So I was a little weary where it's like, all right, you fire Callahan midseason. You got an interim head coach. But Cam Ward's he's the guy. You can tell he's got that it factor. So at least Titans fans, I think at this point, he's your guy. Where midseason to early on in the year, we're like, it's hard to evaluate him. I personally think he's going to be a great quarterback. So he's definitely going to be a guy I'm taking for a year 2 breakout. Like I'll be targeting him late in underdog drafts next year, depending on some of the moves they make in the offseason, which, he's shown enough that he's already doing this with not a lot. So I'm curious to see what he can do.
Yeah, 250, 2 touchdowns in this one. And it's not even just the stats. It's when you actually watch him throw the football and maneuver the pocket. It is impressive. He's clearly gotten a lot better. Week in and week out, it looks like he's getting better, and he's making throws from ridiculous arm angles. He has a rocket of an arm as well. So I agree with you. Cam Ward has looked really good. Shamir DK set the record for most all-purpose yards as a rookie as well. Granted, all the kick and punt returns have been the driving force there, but he did have 4 for 55 in this game. Has become a piece of the offense. So, maybe they hit on a guy that could be a person to grow with Cam Ward over the duration of their rookie contracts, even if DK is your 2 or 3 in that receiver room. He's got something. And then Ayumanor did score a touchdown in this one as well. So, interesting pieces. But again, for the Titans, it's more about Cam Ward's development this season and you've certainly seen that development. And you got to think, even at 3-13, there's still something to be excited or happy about this Titans franchise.
Yeah, I mean, both franchises in this one are definitely very excited. A lot of people were like, oh, why did the Saints draft Shuck to not play? I'm like, they got to be drafting somebody. Shuck is the guy. I mean, it's pretty evident, especially when he wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, to me, he's the best rookie quarterback right now. Granted, he's in the best situation, and I do want to say for Kellen Moore, this guy is going to be a good head coach. The Saints are got to be not the favorites, but a very popular pick next year to win this division. As quickly as this guy's turning around, they're going to have some money because finally, they're not in cap hell, I feel like, next year. So the Saints are going to be on the come up, and that's with Tyler Shuck, Kellen Moore. And, maybe they'll go out and draft a Julian Love.
Jeremiah Love.
Jeremiah Love, Julian Love, not the safety from the Seahawks.
I think it's safe to say for a quarterback class that obviously was not deemed as very elite and didn't have many options, Titans, Saints, and Giants are all sitting here at the end of the season. None of them are going to pull a Josh Rosen. They're all pretty excited about the future.
There's still a chance you draft Mendoza and trade Dart.
Dude, that's not going to happen, bro. I don't see that happening. The only thing that could make that a possibility is if Joe Schoen got fired too, and that's a completely new regime. But even then, Dart has a lot of believers in that building, so I don't see it happening. And
that would be something.
He's been great.
I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing because you would get it
great.
No matter what they do, if you're in a spot where you did get the first overall pick, and either way you go, whether it's trading Dart or trading the pick, you're getting a haul. So it sucks. We'll get more into that in a little bit, but I agree with you. All 3 of these teams are very happy with where they're at with their quarterback play.
It's rare. It's rare that happens. It is really rare. And I know Shuck was a second rounder, but he was throwing that first round combo. So it's just rare that this early
haters out there, bro. If he wins Rookie of the Year, how many people you think came out and who is Tyler Shuck? Why did the Saints draft him? I mean, he is silencing so many haters because that had to be one of the most questioned, hated on picks. And it was. A lot of people were like, this guy, he didn't do anything. He's a 26-year-old. So he had a lot of haters coming out. Him, Shedeur obviously had a ton as well, but it was a little different because Shedeur was such a big name. Everybody knew him. Nobody knew who Tyler Shuck was when he got drafted outside of the, nitty-gritty guys. But a lot of people were like, who in the hell is that? So,
and what's crazy is they took him in the second round. If they were to redo the draft right now, the Saints would take him at 9. But who they took at 9, Kelvin Banks, the left tackle out of Texas, has been a dog for them too. So those first 2 picks give them a lot more hope for the future, especially on offense, where it seemed pretty bleak outside of a Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, who they have since traded.
I know. I feel like they're almost kicking themselves for trading Shaheed.
Yeah, he is a free agent, though, so they're probably like, he's not. They probably talked, and he's like, "Yo, I am not signing back here, dude." So just trade me.
They're going to be a popular destination next year. If they draft, they're either going to draft a wide receiver or a running back to give them another weapon there. Sheesh. Yeah. But that's enough about these 2 terrible teams.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about some trash teams. It's all right. All right, the Jags 23-17 win over Phillip Rivers and the Colts. They're now 12-4, sitting pretty atop the AFC South. The Colts dropped to 8-8, and their slide continues. 0-3 with Phillip Rivers at the helm, but fuck, he did inspire a lot of people. It was fun while it lasted. All indications are Riley Leonard will start in Week 18. Phillip Rivers has no regrets coming back and playing. He threw for 147, a touchdown, and a pick in this one. Arm strength let him down. Riley Leonard to come in for the Hail Mary because Rivers couldn't reach the end zone. Unfortunately, Mo Alley Cox had the touchdown from Rivers, his last passing touchdown, presumably in the NFL. But we could have said that 4 years ago, so you never know. Phillip Rivers gets a call at 48. The Colts are like in the same position. I doubt it. Jonathan Taylor, 21 for 70 and a touchdown. You know, he's not going to get the rushing touchdown record. Really fell off pace, but still not a bad performance in the fantasy championship per se.
No, you can't be mad with that.
The Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, no passing touchdowns in this one. Did have a pick. However, he had 2 rushing touchdowns, and the legs have come alive for T-Law. The only 2 touchdowns for Jacksonville in this game. Travis Etienne, 17 for 76. He continues to play some good ball. Parker Washington, 8 for 115, stepping up in that slot role for this team as Brian Thomas and Jacoby Myers took a back seat with 39 yards each. But, hey, I tell you what, man, looking ahead to next year with this Jags offense, that's a good wide receiver core when you bring in Travis Hunter and you got those 4 guys, because Parker Washington has shown that he is a player as well in that offense. And, hey, tip the cap to Liam Cohen. He might have figured out Trevor Lawrence. He might have been the guy to do it, man, because Trevor Lawrence looks like a completely different quarterback over the second half of the season and makes the Jags much more dangerous heading into the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to say about the Colts. You know, like we said earlier, fire Steichen. I think fire Steichen at least. I mean, you can't warrant, and I think you got to get. I'm blanking out on the GM. Why am I blanking out on the Colts GM? Chris Ballard. You got to think he's gone too, because that Sauce Gardner trade now looks really bad, really bad. Now what you gave up, I understand you can't predict injuries, and it's not because they traded for Sauce Gardner that they went on this losing streak. But you know, now they're basically gave up. You know, for a top corner, you gave up a lot of capital and a very young, promising wide receiver who's looked pretty good for the Jets. And I understand Colts fans are probably okay with letting Mitchell go because, you know, if he was that good, he would have got on the field for them.
Yeah, so this is the thing, man. And it's like, do you think Steichen and Ballard should lose their jobs when clearly injuries derailed this season? Because if Daniel Jones never breaks his leg,
3 years though,
are they still squeaking in as a wild card, or do you think even with Jones healthy, they falter down the stretch?
I don't know, because they were already starting to fall off, and I think Rivers has played good enough recently that, like, you know, like in that Niners game, like Rivers played pretty good. Like, I don't know if they're not winning that game even if Daniel Jones is your quarterback. So I don't think it matters, to be honest. Like, and you look at some of the other teams right now, like, do you think the Colts would have still been like they would have had to be like a 12-win team to get in? I mean, granted, you know, they played the Texans in one of those games, so that could have changed that. But, like, you know, I don't know if they would have caught some of those
Houston,
other teams.
LA and Buffalo all have 11 wins.
It's all hypothetical, but I mean, I think there were bigger issues than Daniel Jones going down. I think I don't know. It's hard to say because it's like, yeah, it's clear Steichen's like a good offensive mind, but it's like it's been 3 years and you haven't made the playoffs. So it's like, how long can you afford to wait around? And also, like, it's a new owner now. It's the owner's daughter. Like, she didn't hire them. You know, they're not her guys per se. So, like, she could be like, and you've seen how, you know, into it she's been on the sideline. She might be like, listen, I want to go handpick my own head coach, my own GM, and clean house. Like, this is my franchise now. So I think that's definitely in the equation. And then for the Jaguars, man, I mean, they just keep winning. and Trevor Lawrence looks really good. It's funny, we were shitting on him a lot, and I'll be the first one to admit it. Like, I thought Trevor Lawrence was falling off. I was like, they definitely have to move on from this guy or something. Like, I was putting him in the same combo as Tua and Kyler Murray early on, but wow, has he really come on the past month? Now he's gone from guy that you should be off the team or traded away to MVP candidate. Like, he's going to finish top 5 in MVP voting. Like, I'm sure he will get some MVP votes the way he's played down the stretch.
It is wild, dude.
I forget how many rushing touchdowns he has this year, but he's been, looking really good as a passer recently. But that's been the biggest thing for me is it's like, where is this? And I know he's always been a mobile guy, but it's like, holy shit, like this rushing ability, where has this been the majority of his career?
Yeah, because he was so good at Clemson in big games too. At Clemson, dude, I remember in the playoffs, he used to fucking have some massive runs, and he wasn't using it a lot in the NFL, or as much as he should have. And 9 rushing touchdowns is impressive for any quarterback. So
and 35 altogether. So
congrats,
he's having a massive year,
man.
I mean, by far the best year of his career on paper.
And we look smart for buying into this Jacksonville
offense.
We
did take
in the offseason.
The division, so
we liked this offense a lot in the preseason. So
I guess we can't give the flowers yet because technically they haven't clinched the division yet. But regardless, it looks like a good call.
Yep. All right, a game that only matters for one team, but the Miami Dolphins 20-17 win over the Bucs, and the Bucs with the loss somehow at 7-9 have stayed alive in the NFC South, and they got a date with the Panthers for the division title. The playoffs start now. Crazy, man. They only scored 17 points when you consider that Baker threw for 346 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have 2 INTs, and then, he did lose a fumble. So 3 turnovers will hurt you. But the run game also being non-existent will hurt you. Bucky, 9 for 19. Rachaad White, 2 for 10. Sean Tucker, 2 for 8. So nothing going on there.
I think both of his carries were red zone carries too, just to piss off the Bucky Irving fantasy owners.
I saw that. I was like, I'm out, so it doesn't affect me. I'm out of the playoffs, but with my Bucky team, but fucking shit, get this guy off the field when they're inside the 10. Use your best running back in Bucky Irving. This guy, I've been watching his goal line carries for 3 weeks. He doesn't score. Like, how many more times you got to see it, man? I understand, like, trying to find a role because you like Sean Tucker, the player, and he stepped up well when Bucky's been out. But it's like, your guy's back. Play your guy, dude, because this is bullshit, and it's frustrating, and it's costing him games, frankly. Now it's costing them games, and they're lucky to be alive. This team is so frustrating, man. Receiving-wise, McMillan, 114 on 7 receptions. Godwin, 108 and a touchdown on 7 receptions. Emeka Buka, the second half of the season really fell off. 3 for 20 in this one. Mike Evans, 3 for 31 and a touchdown. But it wasn't enough, man, because Quinn Ewers was able to get his first win as a starting quarterback in the NFL, throwing for 172, 2 touchdowns. Achane, pretty strong day on the ground. Theo Wees Jr. scores anytime. Greg Dulcich scores anytime. Just so you'd write it up with Jalen Waddle not even having a reception.
Well, he got hurt. I know, Waddle.
Yeah, he got hurt, but they still got the win, man. They still got the win. It's crazy with Quinn Ewers. I can't believe, given the state of Quinn Ewers at quarterback and losing Waddle early, the Bucs were not able to win this game.
I mean, the Bucs are just a very bad team. So are the Dolphins, but do the Dolphins go into next year with Quinn Ewers as their guy? I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, a game like this definitely makes you think we want to see more. So
I doubt it. 7th round rookie. I doubt it. But hey, clearly Tua getting benched and going to QB3 means his time in Miami is coming to an end. So that's quarterback carousel. Like, it's going to move around. Tua will be playing elsewhere. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe the Jets, Reagan. I don't know.
Hopefully not. But you never know. I mean, he probably won't be the starter next, Quinn Ewers, but I don't know. Yeah, probably not, because he didn't do a ton against the Bengals. It's weird, though. It definitely, you got to think they'll probably draft somebody else, the Dolphins, or maybe bring in a veteran to compete. But I agree with you, Tua's got to be done. And for the Bucs, I mean, Baker at least had a good game, but a lot of it was garbage time. It's good to see McMillan, balling out in Godwin. What I will say is, too, it's interesting with Ibuka. Like, this is now what we were talking about, and this is why I was hesitant with Ibuka and drafting him in fantasy leagues. It's like a lot of mouths to feed, and this is one of the first games where all 4 guys are there and healthy, and you saw didn't work out so well for him. And I know he's really faltered down the stretch. His best game, since his 100-yard game against the Patriots November 9th. has been 4 for 64. So he's a guy that we thought was going to run away with the Rookie of the Year award and hasn't done shit. And it's funny because him and Tet's stats are like identical right now. Like neither guy even has over 1,000 receiving yards. They're both at like 60, low 60s with like low 900s and a like 5-6 touchdowns. So both guys should have a good chance to get over 1,000 in that matchup. But it's just funny that like this Rookie of the Year award is going to be so like cupcake-ish where other years
all these guys went on like
Baker Mayfield,
like studs. And now this year it's been like one guy played really well for a month or so. Then another guy played really well for a month or so. As other guys have fallen off or gotten hurt. And it's just like, it's just wheeling and dealing. It's very different because it's like, Puka has no chance over Tet because Tet has surged at the end of the year and it's about timing.
And Tet's been more consistent as well.
Yes, he has.
Like he hasn't had as big of boom games, but he's definitely been way more consistent.
Yes. All right. You ready to move on here?
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to spend too much time on this because it actually means nothing. But the Patriots beat your Jets 42-10 in this one. I mean, just an ass beating from the get-go. Drake May, 5 touchdowns, 19 of 21. Insane performance. Henderson, 82 yards rushing. Like clearly out-touched Ramondre Stevenson, but Ramondre had the 2 touchdowns, which, I'm pissed at myself. I had both, and Henderson getting cleared from protocol frustrated me. I was hoping they just sit him with this game not really meaning much and think you could beat the Jets. And unfortunately, they played him, so I was stuck with a position. I go, you know what? I've been starting Henderson. 30 minutes before kickoff, I switched him, and now I'm kicking myself. So hopefully he doesn't bite me, and I still bring home the dub with a 49-point lead.
Henderson was the one that got all the touches. Like, when you look at it, he had 19 carries to Stevenson's 8. Stevenson just had the 2 touchdowns, what made it more meaningful. And more yards, too.
Sucks. Just sucks, man. But Drake May definitely making a case for MVP. We're yet to see Matthew Stafford tonight, but it seems like it's a 2-man race now, Drake May or Matthew Stafford for the MVP. And Drake May, granted, is the Jets, really put on a performance.
Yeah.
Brady Cook threw for 152 and a pick. I mean, not much to write home about there. Breece Hall did have a 59-yard touchdown, which was great to see.
And first Jets rusher since 2015 to get over 1,000 yards.
1,000 yards. Crazy.
In a contract year. So somebody, whether he stays with the Jets, whether we bring him back or somebody else pays him, you would think he'll get a pretty nice contract in the offseason.
Now, one thing I want to talk about the Jets here. Is Aaron Glenn a one and done?
I don't know how I feel. Like, I'm okay with them being one and done with him if they ultimately, want to get because it's like, to me, he didn't show enough this year for me to be excited. Like, there were flashes, but he kind of lost the locker room. And granted, when you trade away guys like Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner, that's not going to help you keep the locker room. Like the guys on the defensive side that did stay, like that have some value, like the Will McDonald's, Quincy Williams, his brother, the Jermaine Johnsons, like that's not going to like inspire them when you do that. So that, that was an uphill battle for him, but I haven't been super excited. I also don't know if we do end up drafting a quarterback, if I want him to be the guy to develop him. I don't know. I love our GM Moogie. I think we got phenomenal returns for both Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner. Because let's be real, if we weren't winning games with them, we might as well trade them while they have peak value. And I mean, what he got in return for both of them are smash hits. Like, we couldn't have predicted the Colts to fall off like that, but that ended up being a phenomenal trade that's going to be a potential top 15 pick, and having 2 top 15 picks this year. And then next year, who's to say it's not top 15 again? I mean, there's nothing about the Colts right now that says, hey, they're shooing for the playoffs next year. So you might have, multiple top 15 picks from the Colts. Plus you get the worst of the Cowboys Packers. And we saw the Cowboys just miss the playoffs this year. So I like what he did in that sense. But yeah, I wouldn't complain if they got rid of him. Do I think we need to? No, I'm kind of cool with either side of the coin, but I definitely like our GM.
He's getting a lot of slack for his post-game press conference where they're like, what do you really have to show? Because they're getting blown out left and right. Like, there's bad teams that
you can take away from that game. They don't have an interception this year. Actually, really, like
Reagan,
for a defensive head coach.
Interception, not one from a defensive coach, right? And you know what? And they asked him, like, well, what, like, do you feel like the team has played your brand of football? Like, what is your brand of football? And, like, the thing that he brought up was how, like, in the second half against the Jags, which they got blown out in that game too. Oh, they ran the ball hard and they played hard in the second half of that. It's like, bro, you literally have nothing to point to besides, like, oh, we battled hard in the second half when you've already getting blown out. Like, that's bad, dude. Like, no, I would not be shocked if he's one and done.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to give the guy the chance to see if he can do it, but like, yeah, I think there's a better chance he's one and done than not. It makes it tough because he's a former player and all-pro with the Jets, so I think that aspect makes it tough. Woody was the owner when he was a player there. He wanted to be the Jets head coach, so I think there's something to be said about that he wants to be there. A lot of people don't want the job, but it's also hard. There's going to be a lot of hot names, in this coaching cycle, and do you want to pass on them potentially to keep him another year and delay the inevitable? Also, it's like if we do draft a quarterback and we do have another bad year, you're doing what I always hate, which is not setting up the timeline with your rookie quarterback with your head coach. So you're going to bring in some guy in year 2 of that quarterback, whole new scheme, everything like that. And then it's just a cycle that we saw with Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, repeating itself. So, yeah, I think I am,
Williams,
just talking a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking about the Jets in general. But, yeah, we've seen this time and time again. So, because at least Caleb Williams, you could say, panned out. And Jackson Dart.
There's no Ben Johnson in this cycle.
It's to be determined with Jackson Dart. But, I mean, at least he seems like, he's like got it. We'll see how he does next year with a new head coach. But at least Caleb Williams, like, he showed he had some flashes last year and then was able to take it a step further with a new coach. But it's pretty rare that guys end up working out, switching coaches time and time again. So, yeah, I think I have talked myself into it, just spitballing a little bit here. I haven't given it much thought recently, but, yeah, I do think I want them to move on and get an offensive-minded coach.
Yeah, I planted that seed. Let's go. 2 stats for you, and then we'll move off from the Jets because who cares about the Jets besides us from New York? But they're both funny in their own way. One offense, one defense. The offense won. Garrett Wilson leads the Jets in receiving yards. Yeah. He last caught a pass October 12th.
Yeah, I'm happy they shut him down.
The other funny stat, quarterbacks facing the Jets this year have a 13-3 record, 32 touchdowns plus 2 rushing touchdowns, so 34 total touchdowns, no interceptions, and completing 64.5% of passes. And someone asked, if that's a quarterback stat line, 13-3 with 34 touchdowns, no picks, 64% completion rate, are they the MVP? And I think the question is probably,
no shit.
The answer is probably yes. They're the MVP of the league.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, are you kidding me?
Just going against the Jets. So I just had to get that one in there for you.
I mean, are you kidding me? Yeah, I mean, Stafford's 40-5 right now, but if you're 34-0, like with a 13, actually, I guess not. I mean, you basically just essentially everybody just turns in to Matthew Stafford when they play the Jets is what we're hearing here.
All right, the Seahawks take care of the Panthers 27-10. Zach Charbonnet really had a monster game here, 18 for 110 and 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, 15 for 51. I actually saw this as well. For all the talk of which Seattle running back to hold and keep in fantasy.
Neither.
They both finished the season with an identical 10.1 fantasy points per game. So
sounds about right.
It's wild, bro. Wild.
Because you and Zach are like Kenneth Walker homers, where I'm like, I don't want either of them.
Go like, green, baby. Go green.
They both have their own skill sets and they complement each other, but like I don't want either of it, to be honest. Like,
well, Walker's a free agent, so
that's what. But I'm saying that's what, and I'm sure he will be on the outs because I'm sure he's going to want to go somewhere where he can have the opportunity to be the full guy. But
Chiefs.
That's why when people are like, "Oh, Walker," like that's why he was my do not draft because I was like, it's not the Kenneth Walker talent; it's the fact that Zach Charbonnet's there. They like this guy. It's gonna be a timeshare, and the O line's not great, which the O line still isn't great. It's just the defense that has been carrying this team, and then Sam Darnold and JSN have had a nice rapport, but I want nothing to do with either of them, going forward and for next year in fantasy.
Yeah.
But anyway.
JSN 9 for 72 in this one. I mean, he didn't have a touchdown, but still he caps off a great fantasy season. If you draft him in the 3rd round, I'm sure you're sitting pretty, at least playing in money games, hopefully, if you didn't butcher the rest of your draft. AJ Barner, too, another guy, another touchdown. I mean, maybe Seattle's got a guy in AJ Barner to be a tight end piece for them. If not their tight end 1, at least a tight end 2, because he's stepped up in the absence of other guys. For the Panthers, Bryce Young, man, just one of those duds. 54 passing yards and an interception. I know Seattle's defense
really
is
bad
thick,
fumble too.
But yeah, the bad fumble as well. Yeah, I mean, it's just Chuba Hubbard with a fumble. I mean, it's just
bad fumble by him. Yeah,
Jalen Coker 2 for 16 yards, your leading receiver. Rico Dowdle 12 for 59.
I know Tet was sick before going into this game. I know they said he was questionable with illness, but still
1 for 5 yards from Tet. Oh boy.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a combination of both. Like Carolina's offense needs to figure it out, And also Seattle's defense is very elite. I think they probably are the best defensive unit in the league. And most teams that have bottom tier offenses or middle of the pack offenses get shut down. It's pretty rare. Like unless Seattle's going against the Rams or some of those top tier offenses, like they're going to make a lot of these teams look silly. And that's probably why Vegas is giving them such high odds to make the Super Bowl. But hey, in the long run, Panthers, you got to win and get in game. None of it matters. You win next week or even tie next week. Or I don't know if you saw the doomsday scenario, which, we're recording this on a Monday. So, if you're listening to this Tuesday morning, you'll already know if this scenario is in play. But if Atlanta wins out, then Carolina can lose and still get in. So in the sense where
if Atlanta,
it would then be because it would be a three-way tie for the division then, and Carolina would have the best. They'd all have the same division record. Carolina would get in, though, because they would have the best record in common opponents, I believe is what it is, because it would be a three-way tie. So if they'd all be 8-9, but Carolina would get the head-to-head. But that only happens if Atlanta wins out. So that means they have to beat the Rams tonight, highly unlikely, and then beat the Saints next week, which is definitely in play. It wouldn't be that. That would be something if they win tonight.
So Atlanta wins tonight and beats the Saints, and then Tampa Bay beats Carolina. Carolina still gets in.
8-9. Yeah, they would all be 8-9. Carolina would get in. That's the only way Carolina can get in with a loss.
That's wild.
But they'll know. They'll know tonight if that's in the
Atlanta's
equation
at home. Atlanta's a very streaky team. Sometimes at home they can just beat really good teams, and sometimes they get blown out. That's the funny thing.
I feel like what's going to happen is they're going to beat the Rams somehow tonight, and then just throw up a complete dud against the Saints.
Yeah, they're going to have a conversation for the week, and then they'll play the Saints. They're like, wow, this team just beat the Rams. Like, they beat the Saints, and then they put up a dud, and they lose by 3 touchdowns, and it's like,
plus
what the fuck?
The way the Bucs season's going this year, that would be total like Bucs to be like, oh shit, like we won, but now we're relying on the Saints. Like that would be total Bucs to go 8-9 and then be relying on the Saints to win for them to get in. The way they're,
I feel like it's usually the NFC South. It's just
it always
shitty
is, bro.
Around 500 teams battling for it.
Always is.
All right. Let's move to the 4:00 games. We'll start with Eagles-Bills. 13-12 win on the road for Philly in an ugly game. Hurts struggled, only completing less than 50% of his passes. Did have that touchdown to Goddard, but no one really got going for the Eagles on offense. A.J. Brown, 5 for 68 was something. Barkley, 19 for 68. He cooled off after a couple really strong performances. And Josh Allen did not have a passing touchdown, threw for 262 yards, was sacked 5 times. He did, of course, have the 2 rushing touchdowns. James Cook, less than 4 yards per carry. It was Brandon Cooks, 4 for 101. And, of course, I mean, the Bills got shut out until roughly 5 minutes to go, and they scored and then scored again. But Allen had him on the 2-point conversion for the win. He had Khalil Shakir and just rolling to his left, fading away. I'm sure we've all seen it. Missed him for a chance to win the game. Ultimately, not the worst thing in the world for the Bills. I mean, the Patriots did clinch the division, so it is what it is. But, maybe wild card seeding, it could come into play because I'm sure they want that 5 to play the winner of Steelers-Ravens as opposed to maybe, I don't know. I don't think the Buffalo Bills really give a shit if they play Jacksonville.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I don't think they care. I think they probably think they're better than all these teams anyways. So for them, it is what it is. But still, just in terms of momentum and beating the defending Super Bowl champs this late in the year, I'm sure it would have really gotten them up and given a lot of adrenaline and just a good win and a good boost heading to postseason. But in turn, the Eagles hold on and they get that big win to boost morale a bit.
And I feel like we were robbed of a really good game. Like this had the potential to be an amazing game. And it still, I guess, was a good game, like 13-12. But the weather really kind of ruined this game and what it could have been. It really screwed me in an underdog lineup, actually, because I was sitting pretty when I had Chase Brown and Michael Wilson in the early slate. And then I took Michael Mayer as my tight end. So all 3 of those cooked. And then it was like, I got Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, and James Cook. And I'm like, wow, I got fucked because of the rain. Because I'm like, I didn't take those guys expecting there to be torrential downpour where they put up duds. And I will say, though, man, Hurts looked really good in that first half. Before the rain really took into effect, he was maneuvering around the pocket, making big throws. He's really bounced back nicely since that really bad Chargers game. Just weird. The only thing I didn't like is it's like they really took their foot off the gas. Like I think the Eagles could have won this one pretty handedly. In the second half, they just went on so like precautionary. It's like, oh, we got a 13-0 lead. Like we're gonna just play it very safe, not turn the ball over, and just keep making the Bills go downfield. But I'm like, I feel like you could have just tried to, sustain a drive and really open up the playbook. And maybe that really shows that Kevin Patullo is not the good offensive mind, and they do need to get rid of him. But I don't know.
I think they do. I mean, I think just the pure talent just kind of masks a lot of the flaws. But clearly, offensively, they're not on the same page they were last year with Kellen Moore.
No,
it's not even close.
For sure.
Not even close.
That's for sure. But excited to see what both these teams can do in the playoffs this year.
Yep. All right, the Tank Bowl. Giants win 34-10. I mean, this game just seemed over from the first quarter. And I did say to my fam and friends, I said, guys, how many games have the Giants blown this year? Like, it's not over yet. This is what they do. They get up early and they blow these games. But unfortunately not this time because the Raiders were in full tank mode and did not allow that to happen outside of Michael Mayer's 9 for 89. Really nothing going for this team. Even Genty couldn't get going against the second worst run defense in football from the Giants. Geno, 176, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. One of them in the red zone early on kind of just felt like the dagger. Dart was pretty freaking good, 22 of 30 for 207 yards, only took 2 sacks, had the 2 rushing touchdowns. I think he has 9 or 10 rushing touchdowns in the season now, so
probably
he's really using it. Devin Singletary motor got in the end zone too, and Wan'Dale Robinson, the only receiver probably on the current roster worth keeping, obviously outside of Malik Neighbors, who's hurt because he had 11 for 113, and in a contract year for him, just like Breece Hall, he eclipsed 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. So I'm seeing Spot Track has him valued at 4 years, $60 million, $15 million a year. I think he's also the first receiver under 5'9" to eclipse 1,000 yards since the mid '80s. So it's been nearly 40 years since a receiver of his stature has got 1,000 yards, which is pretty nuts.
That is nuts.
So
and he's in a contract year as well. So somebody, whether it's the Giant, I'm just saying, like, I'm curious to see who will pay him this year. If the Giants bring him back, or if somebody goes out and gets him, because he's definitely playing himself into a lucrative deal somewhere.
For sure. And the implications of this game is if the Giants would have lost, they would have already locked up the first overall pick. Week 18 would not have mattered. Now, with the win, the Giants are sitting at 2, the Raiders at 1. If the Raiders beat the Chris Aluakan-led Chiefs and the Giants lose to Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, who Schottenheimer's already said Dak's playing, and let's be honest, I don't think the Giants have beaten the Cowboys since 2016, so this would be the year that they would beat them and fuck up their draft pick. But under the assumption the Giants lose and the Raiders win, the Giants would get the first overall pick still. If the Giants beat the Cowboys, based on all those lists of teams that currently have 3 wins, for every team that loses, the Giants drop a spot in the draft. So if the Giants win and the Jets lose, the Jets jump them. The Browns, they jump them. The Titans, they would jump them. The Cardinals, they would jump them. So that's how the draft order could shake out, and that's really the true implications of this game.
Yeah. No, the Jets have a 0.1% chance for the first overall pick.
I think they need the Raiders and the Giants to win and other teams to lose.
They need a lot. Yeah, they need a lot.
Or no, other teams to win. They need
they need a lot of they need like it's crazy. It's very unlikely. I would just take, honestly, at this point, I'm like, just would be happy with the second pick, and then it's like, all right, we'll just take whoever the Raiders don't take. So let's go Big Blue. Let's go Big Blue.
No, Giants gotta lose, man. They gotta lose.
But now, at least, I guess,
let's go Raiders. Come on.
I guess
beat
up
on a Louis
at least, assuming the Raiders do get the first overall pick, now I don't have to worry about the Jets giving up crazy capital to move up to 1.
They could still give up a lot of capital to move up to 2.
Nah.
We'll see. All right, Sunday Night Football to bring us home. The Niners beat the Bears 42-38. They're now 12-4. The Bears 11-5. We touched on this earlier. Potential game of the year. Brock Purdy 303, 3 touchdowns and a pick. And had 2 rushing touchdowns. Yes, Brock Purdy can move like that. 5 total touchdowns to 1 pick. McCaffrey 23 for $140 and a touchdown. A monster game from him. Ricky Pearsall, 5 for 85. Tell you what, when this guy Ricky's healthy, he makes some plays downfield for this Niners team. Like, absolutely he does. And he gets open against man coverage, which is nice. Jake Ton just stepping in for Kittle, 60 yards and a touchdown. And Jawan Jennings and Kyle Juszczyk also scored touchdowns all around for the Niners. For the Bears, offensively, I mean, what more could you ask for? 38 points. Caleb Williams going for 330 yards and 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift punching it in twice. And they're rookies, man. The only 2 rookies that have receiving grades from PFF of 80 and above, the only 2 rookies, Luther Bird and Colston Loveland, both happen to be on the Bears. And Luther Burden, 8 for 138 and a touchdown. Colston Loveland, 6 for 94 and a touchdown, while DJ Moore had 1 catch for 7 yards. I know DJ Moore's had his games, including just very recently. He had a monster game and, caught a big touchdown from Caleb Williams for the win, right?
I had them in my sprint lineup for the underdog, so it ended up being pretty nice.
Yeah, dude,
with that combo, because I haven't used either of them a lot. So, and I have a chance, I had Hurts as my quarterback. So with Stafford as my other quarterback, I have a chance to really collect another, hopefully 20 points tonight and really move up in a nice spot in the sprint.
Yeah, that'd be good. My sprints faltered the last 2 weeks, so just barely over 100 points. So I'm still projected to triple my money for the one that I started with 188, but we faltered, man. Just injuries, a couple duds here and there. Henderson getting hurt, Chuck getting hurt, had him in both sprint teams, really killed me. But hey, it is what it is, man. If you're the Bears, you got to feel confident that Luther Burden and Colston Loveland are going to be long-term building blocks for this team at this point in time. Because Luther Burden started off the season with really not a role, with no Roma Dunze, no Alameda Zaccheaus. I'm sure Zaccheaus is gone after this year now. Burden's shown you enough to step into that slot role from day one in 2026, even if Rome's fully healthy, and even if DJ Moore is still there. But I don't know.
Rome will I think Burden will probably be the number 1 target next year. I don't know. I mean, Loveland might be.
Loveland's been a dog. That touchdown that Caleb threw to him on that free play was fucking sick. Yeah, Loveland makes plays, dude. He makes plays. So, hey, it looks like their first 2 picks, they kind of hit on those 2 guys, man.
That they did. Yeah, I mean, my biggest takeaways from this, both teams are legit. Both teams, in my opinion, can go to the Super Bowl. I don't know how. I know you were kind of down on the Bears a couple weeks ago, not fully buying in. Even in a loss, I think you have to be bought in on the Bears. I mean, this offense is explosive. I think the defense is better than they played. I just think right now the Niners are the hottest offense in the NFL, and I don't think any defense is really stopping them right now outside of maybe the Texans and the Seahawks. But, hey, guess what? We'll get to see how good this – or I guess we'll get to see that next week on Saturday Night Football between the Seahawks and the Niners. So that's best on best right there. So I'm excited about that. But I'm feeling pretty good about my Bears' future right now. It would have been nice to have a chance at that 1 seed, but it's all right.
Yeah, I think they still showed you they can hang with anyone. We know they can. They're 11-5. Yeah. The offense can score with anybody. It's just the same thing. You just go back to that defense, and it's okay, the NFC is loaded this year. And then when you have teams like the Seahawks and the Rams that do have, and the Eagles that have legit really good defenses, do you give the nod to the Bears that are comparable offensively, maybe even slightly better offensively than some of those teams I named, like Seattle or Philadelphia this year? But is the defense going to let them down, right? And that's just really what I'm kind of concerned about, because I do think they need more talent along that defensive line to put themselves in the elite of the elite in the NFC and be considered perennial Super Bowl contenders, not just, hey, we're having a great year under Ben Johnson in his first rodeo.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
All right, Fel fans, drop a like, drop a comment. Let us know how you did in your fantasy football championships. We're all looking forward to Week 18. It should be a fun week, even with some games not mattering. There's a lot to play for. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you later this week. Happy New Year's, Felters.
Yeah.